And here we go. Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to Computer Science, Not Rocket Science. My name is AJ Rogg. I'm a second year MLTI ambassador. I was teaching in Portland at Lyman Moore Middle School before that, and I head back this year.
Hi, everybody. I'm Janice Medenica, and I am a first year ambassador, almost through my first year. Before coming into this role, I was a science and social studies teacher at the Harrison Middle School, in Yarmouth.
And if you would like to follow along with the slideshow, the tiny URL below Janice's name is a link to these slides so that you can click on the links that we have throughout the whole PD session.
Oh, okay. And just wanted to point out two things here. We have a tiny URL or a QR code that will take you to a notebook that has all of the presentations that we presented throughout the state on Zoom and in live sessions. And so you can have a look at those. It is not editable. But on the other side over here, you have an editable notebook. It's a little bit clunky, but if you like taking digital notes underneath the presentations, if you plan to watch more than one video, to get your credit hours or contact hours, then feel free to use it. It's there for you.
And if you're watching this video before May 22nd, we do have our student MLTI student conference up in Orono. Uh, the link there is a way to, or that scan QR code is a way to see more about what we're going to be doing. But we've gathered about a couple thousand students from around the state. They come in and we have a bunch of sessions that students go through and just learn and have fun doing some tech stuff, free lunch, free trip to Orono University. So if you, again, get this before that time of May 22nd and you are interested, please reach out to us. We would love to have you show up.
Okay. And so we have a little fun activity, and feel free to vote with your thumbs up for yes, or thumbs down for no. We'll go through it just like we did in the virtual session, just because we don't want you to feel left out of a fun game. So here we go. And of course, it's okay to be wrong. Oh, wow. That went really fast. All right. I think we skipped a few, but
No, I think it's just the jumble thing.
it's what?
It's just jumbling it.
Oh, why?
It's like a fun flippy thing.
Oh, fun. All right. Wow. Okay. Well, maybe that's not going to work this time, but we tried. Maybe you had a few thumbs up, thumbs down, but they all should have been thumbs up because all jobs actually um, have computer science in them.
And that is a fun activity to do with your students if you come up with a bunch of jobs that you can think about that, may not necessarily have computer science in the forefront of the job, but kind of get the kids to start thinking about how often it shows up.
Yeah. And also in your version, if you're going through the slideshow, it should work nicely. But maybe it's not working because we're zooming. It's going super fast.
All right, so our agenda today is we're going to go through a couple slides just kind of showing you our definition or what we're using as a definition for computer science as we, you know, give you some ideas to bring into your classroom. And then talk about the importance of computer science in education. We'll go through some easy lift solutions for teachers and students who have little to none, no computer science experience. And then we'll get into some slight lifts solutions and explore time for those teachers who are feeling a little more confident about computer science, maybe have done some activities, have done the easy lift, and then you're ready to take it a step further, the slight lift would be where you'd want to go next. So I'm not going to read this. You can take time to read this, but the highlights are kind of the spotlight things that we want you to think about when we think about, and hopefully you can think about when you look at computer science. So it's that, hands-on engagement. Yes, the idea of coding is there, that they're creating things, so they're producers. The idea of computational thinking skills, and then the idea of computational thinking is the idea of breaking down problems into smaller ones, how problems relate to each other, setting aside details that you don't need, finding the details that you do need, and just kind of defining those steps to help kids problem solve. And then we like this quote that we got from the real reason we should teach computer science. And it says, while there is no doubt that widespread computer science education is increasingly necessary in a technology-centered world, the real reason we need to teach computer science is that it provides a creative environment for students to experiment with the process of learning. So we find that as just kind of hits all the boxes when we think about computer science and computational thinking. And then this slide is kind of nice to, even show your students, but to really think about, your pre-K-8, you're working on problem solving, computational thinking. A huge one that I know Janice uses a lot in her classroom is recovering from failure, that it's okay to fail as long as you iterate and try again. And then that idea of gamification is always, an intriguing one for students. They feel like they're playing a game, but they're actually learning an activity or learning a skill, which is kind of nice. And then in the high school, kind of focused on, where do I go with this? Like if I'm taking these computer science, what kind of work skills am I creating for myself, and what can I be looking for when I get outside of college, or if I go to community college, get an associate's degree, or even as you will see in the slides where we had you look at, what jobs are out there, a mechanic. So people working in some blue collar jobs, those jobs are no longer free of computer science. They still have all that. You're measuring things with computers. The cars have computers in them now, so there's a lot more that needs these skills, and then just being ready for college if that's the route you're going to take.
Yep. Okay, and then from a few slides ago, there was that long description of computer science. So we basically took that out and popped those highlighted um, highlighted things here around a classroom environment because this is really what we want kids to be doing, engaging in hands-on real-world interaction and application, identifying and refining steps they need to reach a solution, um, coding, practicing problems, failure recovery, uh, and all of that. So this is just a nice visual, even to put up in your classroom if you want. And then this one, it's the same thing, but it's more, this is kind of how we're going to go with the segue into coding and why it's important. Coding, especially the two tools we're going to show today, they really provide a creative environment for students to experiment with coding through having scaffolding as well, as much as they need or as little as they need. And they go through the process of learning how to problem solve and recovery from failure and breaking problems into smaller tasks. And then finally, they see a finished product in the end. But it also forces them to go back and check for mistakes and fix them if the code is not working in the end. So lots of critical thinking. And so to get us started with that, we've got easy lift starting points. So we're going to show you Hour of Code. but then we're also going to show you Pine Tree programming. And then after we kind of walk you through the website of that, you'll have a point where you can pause the video and take 10 minutes to really dive in and have a look before we go on to the slight lift with AJ. So let's see. So you have two slides in this section where you can see it's kind of more of a quick reference tool for how to navigate the site. So you can see that you can type things into a search looking for games. So I wrote ocean, and you can kind of see what pops up here. You can also search grade levels that you work with, activity types, accessibility, language, so either block coding or typing. And then you can also search different topics or even the classroom technology that you have. I think it's fantastic because it provides you with activities where you don't have internet, or you might have no computers or devices, or you might just have iPads. So, let me, before we go to this one, I'll just hop over. No. Okay. I gotta drag this down a tiny bit. There we go. Can you still see my screen, AJ? Hour of code. Okay. And so when you click on Easy Lift, Hour of Code, it'll bring you here to this website. You can simply scroll down or click on activities and it'll take you down anyway. So this is what I was talking about. You can type in a search and look up a specific topic. You can also look up, like, let's say you like Code Combat or CodeSpeak Labs or CoSpaces. You can search by the company or all. You can search a topic. One thing that I like, I teach middle school, so I would want to search all of the ones here. Um, and that's really it. But let me hop into Music Lab here. So if you click on one, it will actually give you a quick description of what it is. Um, it'll also give you the start button where you can start coding right away. But the really great thing about code.org is it gives you teacher notes. And inside the teacher notes, sometimes you'll have a slideshow. It'll give you a short link also to provide to the students. You can see the beginner experience, self-led tutorial, how long. That's another thing that you can choose down here is how long you want to spend on an activity. It also gives you the standards if you want. But teacher notes are a way to look at the objectives. What do you need to prepare and standards? And then you have an agenda, warm up, main activity, and they really walk you through. And it's really fantastic. And AJ is going to talk about a few suggestions before the playtime.
Yeah, so we just thought it would be nice. We all know that sometimes it's overwhelming when you look at Hour of Code and you see 100 activities and you're like, well, which ones are good? I don't know which ones are good. I don't want to spend time. So we came up with six that have we've used in our classrooms or we use as a teaching tool when we're doing professional development. So Janice just showed you Music Lab. That's a really fun one. You're going to get music that's popular right now with the actual singers singing the music. So it's not just computer generated voices or like Kid Bop where it's not even the people singing it, somebody else singing it. But it is block coding where and some AI is also embedded into it where when you create a drum beat, the AI can kind of predict where you might want to go with your drum beats on an excessive level or a low level, and it's kind of a fun little activity. That's probably more of a middle school version. If you're looking for an elementary music version, the dance party down in the bottom right is that's a fun one. And again, those are real. real songs with the actual artist singing, which is kind of fun. But that's a little more of a um, elementary kind of lift. The artist one is, creating fun, cool art things. You're coding little, almost like using the turtle, the Python turtle, where you get to draw and it creates shapes and then it creates colors and then it repeats. The Code Combat, which is top right, is kind of a game where you are coding in Python to get your character to battle and move through different adventures throughout that game. That one's a lot of fun. AI for Oceans kind of talks about how AI works, about training your bot in order to get your little AI bot to recognize a fish over trash or a certain type of fish by color, by face, and then eventually it allows you to kind of pick your own training that you might want to do with it, looking at specific. I think they use angry versus happy or something like that. You have some choices to find fish that are happy versus angry. And then finally, that Compute It is one that I absolutely love. It's quite a simple game, but it's kind of addicting. You have that little white ball that you move through the colored dots. You get Python code that you need to follow, and it starts out very simple, and it does start getting into loops and conditions and stuff like that. So it can get hard pretty quick. I tend to pair students or get kids in group of three to kind of help each other as it gets harder, but I believe there are about 50 steps in or 50 activities in there. Like it just keeps getting harder and harder, and the kids kind of dig that. And then we do have a whiteboard where teachers are adding suggestions about how they've tried with what they've tried with students and any other suggestions. So you can kind of check back on that, and as teachers are watching this, hopefully they're adding. And if you're watching this, please add some things in there so that other teachers can get some ideas that you might have come up with.
Yep. And one thing that I forgot to mention on the last slide, for all of these programs, it's really, really a great. The reason why we call it an easy lift, it's because within each of these programs, there are videos and simple step-by-step instructions in building the code for the kids to follow. Like you could even start an activity and not know what you're doing, but the program is it's almost it has guardrails that help the kids to figure it out. Um, and so with this next resource, AJ and I were both a part of the Pine Tree programming videos. Um, and so if you click on this, it will bring you out to Pine Tree programming, which is a Canva. And if you scroll down, you can see there are elementary videos for 6 weeks of coding, and there's a teacher video and a student video. And so you can see what the activities are. So here are 6 other activities that you could try. And that's for elementary. And then you also have middle school videos too. Um, and so that's also another option.
And most of those come from Hour of Code, so
Yep.
you may see those. Maybe you said that, Jana. Sorry.
I don't I don't think I did.
Well, if you heard it twice now.
There we go. All right. And so we feel free to pause the video here and take 10 minutes to explore the Hour of Code site. There's some suggestions there, or feel free to look at the Pine Tree programming. And then by the end of 10 minutes, our hope is that you have an activity. Again, feel free to share it to that um, whiteboard on the last slide. And when you're ready, come on back for a slight lift tutorial and exploration time.
All right. Welcome
Okay.
back. If you went away, welcome back. If you did not, then hopefully we wouldn't make you wait too long. Um, so this is more of a kind of a reflective time, and you can just take a couple minutes again if you want to pause, or just hopefully you're thinking about this kind of question. How or when do you see this being used in your classroom? This is always, to me, the toughest for non-computer science educators. For me, it's easy. That's my job, is to teach computer science, so I don't really have to find time because it's all the time. Where Janice, I don't know if you have any ideas or thoughts around this because you're a science teacher and you
Yeah.
had to fit it in.
Yep. I've had to fit it right in with my science curriculum. But we in seventh grade science, we teach mostly life science, ecology, climate. Um, but we start the year out with systems thinking and systems learning, so understanding inputs and outputs, and the fact that inputs are processed and then you get an output and we look at storages and boundaries and all of that. And so we try to incorporate some coding with little robots called cubelets, but also with Hour of Code and code.org. During the human body unit, it has an activity where you can code a virus. It's like a virus game. And so we just try to incorporate it wherever it naturally fits. And so I'm currently looking for some that I could do in ancient civilizations, which might be a little more difficult, but yeah, maybe in exploring different worlds.
So definitely just something to think about.
Mm.
And I know that you're probably, if you're interested in coding and you're watching this or in computer science, you're probably already thinking about that. Um, there are after school activities. The Pine Tree programming, like Janice was saying, is a lot of them, a lot of teachers have been using it as a after school activity. Or if you have kids, I know Janice mentioned this too. She's so smart. She mentions all these lovely things. Um, Using it as like, hey, when kids are finished an activity, they could definitely grab into one of these and, this is one of their choices. I know we tend to give kids choices so they're not just being crazy in the classroom, but this could be a choice that they choose after finishing an assignment or the work for that day. So I know that was something you mentioned. But
Yeah,
go on.
yeah, it was. And also we incorporate it as well in when we're looking at the scientific principles and engineering standards and like how experiments are run, just that whole idea of checking your work and the inputs don't always give you the result that you want. So you have to go back and try again. So that it's that whole inquiry cycle and recovery from failure. Again,
Yep.
so
Big skills.
big, big skills.
All right. So if you're feeling like the hour of code, you've got that under your belt, or that you have some coding experience, we thought we'd bring in something, we call it a slight lift. And the reason we add that, slight lift moniker to this is um, this is more of a unit type that we're going to show you through code.org, which also creates Hour of Code. So they're both code.org products. This is more of a unit based where there are many, many, many levels and kids can kind of work through that. You're also being able to create a teacher account where you can assign certain parts of code.org to your students and keep track and grade if you want to grade, or at least keep an eye on who's doing what, where they are, without having to go and look at so and so's computer to do that. You can also go home, kind of do a little look through and see which students you might want to make sure you touch base with the next day. So it's kind of a way of being able to keep an eye on them. And they're a little bit more of a less of a tutorial, more of a um, uh, like instruction page that kids are going to have to read. Um, Not many movies or videos to watch, no step by step, not as many step by steps, but more of a you kind of have to figure it out yourself. So We have kind of like two entry levels. So if you're kind of a slight lift, but you're at the elementary level, we're going to kind of show you that one. And then we also have an advanced, which would be more of a middle school. So I'm going to have Janice click on the elementary beginner one. Um, and I want you to take the age levels with a grain of salt. And I say that just because we all know a lot of students are at different places with their education. And I kind of don't like that they put ages up there because if we end up sending a kid who's not quite ready for the we call advanced level, they're going to see their age, but they might be sitting there at 10 years old, but we're sending them here. So I don't love that piece of it, but I
Mm.
think if we can kind of guide them without them seeing the 5 to 11, that would be helpful. So if you scroll down, you're going to see those are the hour of code activities that we've already talked about. These are the two I was looking at. So there's a pre-reader course, and that one's kind of nice because it does have a lot of just pictures. So kids are putting blocks of code together with arrows, and little paw prints, or depending on, what it is, it's not a heavy read piece. And then the express course is kind of that older, like have reading skills and can read instructions and follow it. So I don't know. Do we want to go in and just show real quick what it looks like? So if
Sure.
we hit the pre-reader,
This one. Do
and this is what a typical code.org
you want as
lesson
a
looks like.
student or a
Well,
teacher?
we'll leave it like this for right now.
Okay.
So over on the right-hand side, you'll see where it says view lesson plan, send to students. Those are kind of those pieces that you have control of. Like the lesson plan gives you talking points, which is kind of cool, and it kind of lays out the entire lesson and how you could introduce it, have the kids work on it, and then kind of how do you finish the activity. The send to students is that way of sending it to them so that they get it in their dashboard and they don't have to go find it. And again, it's nice that it's hooked up to Google Classroom. Um, that's kind of a cool piece.
Yeah.
And then the kids would get access to lesson one, and then those little dots are basically the activities that they work on. And then when they complete them, it turns green and they go on to the next one until they finish.
Mhm.
So if you see the little video moniker, that means there's a video. For me, most of the time I'll stop class and watch the video together. If it's at the beginning, we'll watch it as a whole group. If there's a video embedded in the middle of an activity, those are the times you're going to really want to have headphones. And it's
Yeah.
always not a bad
Mhm.
idea to have headphones because a lot of these activities do
Yes.
have sound with them, and it can get a little menacing when 25 or 20 kids are all listening at different points in different places of videos and activities. So, um,
That's always a rule in my classroom
yeah.
anyway.
And you
Everyone
can see
has
how
to have them.
this, yeah. And you can see how this could be something kids could just kind of go visit
Hmm.
when they finish something, or if they have a free time where they get to go explore something that they choose. This might be a nice place to go. And then the
Yep.
lesson plans, you'll see in there, it tells you an average time of 45 minutes. It has your standards. So if your school requires you to put down what standards they're getting, you would click on, yeah. So algorithm programming is not, those aren't the standards. That's kind of the category. And then the standards would be underneath it. And then it kind of breaks it up how you could actually teach this with the agenda. You have your warm up, intro, teacher demonstration, and then a wrap up. And then it goes into further stuff down at the bottom with some teacher tips. So it's very
Great.
focused on teachers being successful with this. And as always, Janice and I would encourage you to actually do the lesson before you assign the lesson, just so you can kind of troubleshoot. Because even though it's called pre-reader, there are sometimes you get to an instruction and it just doesn't quite make sense.
Yeah.
So you want to kind of figure that out as well. And I think most of these lessons come with like a hint or a like a can you click
You want
Janice?
me
Let's
to
go to
click it?
lesson. Yeah, just pick one. Like lesson
Yep.
one. Yeah, over there on the right where it says example solution one. No, you might not need it on this one because all you're doing is clicking on a block.
Right.
But that teacher panel is really kind of nice because if you can't figure something out, there is a solution that they can kind of show you. So as things
Yeah.
get harder, that's there. And that's not there for the
Great.
students. And you can hit view page as a student and kind of see what the students would see. And as a teacher there where it says sort by, as kids add into your class that you create, their names will show up below that display name. And you can actually click and see a student's work that they've been working on, how far they've gone, what their solution was. So it's kind of a nice way to get some understanding and not have to go see the kid right away and have some, do a little reconnaissance research on where the kid's at before you go talk to them and then have a conversation or call them up and say, "Hey, I see that you're doing amazing. You're flying through this, but you missed a couple, so I want to make sure you go back because those are important ones that you skipped over, or looks like you might need a little help. You're a little stuck on something." So that's just a way of kind of having some information about that before having that conversation. So I won't necessarily go into the Express course. It looks exactly the same. It would just be a little more text heavy
Hmm.
for students, but it's set up exactly the same.
Did you want to show the course catalog?
Sure.
Would you like me to?
You go for it.
I know this part,
Yeah.
but when we get to curriculum, you can help me out. Or will you please?
Yes.
Okay, so it's set up similar to Hour of Code. Shocker, it is code.org. But what's really nice about this one is you can choose the grade level, whichever grade level you're at. You can also choose the entire school year, a month, a week, or even just a lesson up to an hour and a half. You can also choose a topic, like any topics that you'd like. So if I do games and animations, my favorite, we could look at different options here. And if you have a certain device, or if you don't want any devices, and you just want unplugged version, you could do that. Or if you have tablets, Chromebooks, computers in your classroom, you can choose any of those. And then curriculum.
Yeah, so
Um,
this is the curriculum is so AP is and so we have CS principles and the AP CSA. Those are both high school courses. Um, Fundamentals would be elementary. Discoveries is kind of middle school to high school. Connections is new. I don't know what that one is. I'd have to go check that one out. Not sure what level that's at. So that's a newer one that I haven't seen yet. So I will try not to talk about it.
it looks like 3 through 8,
Okay.
3 through 6.
I guess what it makes sense now that I see it, it's kind of connecting it to other curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like it's connecting it to like coding book covers,
Oh,
maps, so you
fun.
and poetry. So it's giving you that connection to other curriculums in your school, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
That makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then there's Hour of Code as well. And I think that is
Yeah.
it, what we wanted to show. Let me just try to get back to the presentation. Here we are. Okay. And again, there are a couple um, slides that show you how to navigate the site. Again,
And when
again,
you first go in, I would sign up and say you're a teacher and you can kind of set up a class and it does allow you to give your students a code or invite them through um,
Google
Google,
Classroom.
Google Classroom. And that's an easy connection because it will actually grab it by your classes that you have. So if you're an elementary teacher, you would just have your one class. Or maybe you don't, you might teach five classes in elementary. I don't know. It depends on how your school works. Middle school, obviously, you would have, 4 to 5 separate classes as well. And
Yeah.
that's where you can do the assigning of work and activities to them. And then there are tons of teacher resources in there as well. There are forums where you can go in and ask questions and get some answers directly from code.org people or from teachers that have worked on certain things. Um, yeah, it's
Yep.
pretty extensive.
And so please feel free to pause the video and take 15 minutes to look through any of these activities. Play as a student to see their workspace, look through the teacher resources. Here in code.org, there are, like AJ said, it's extensive. Okay. And then welcome back. Maybe you paused it, maybe you didn't. But again, we like to ask how or when do you see this being used in your classroom? So just kind of pause and reflect on that question
And if
for
you
a few
need,
minutes.
yeah, and if you're struggling with that and you want some guidance, that's why we're here as MLTI ambassadors, and you'll have all of our contact. And if you're like, oh, I love this, but can you really help me figure out how to make this work in my classroom?
Mhm.
Our team is not all teachers like me that have 100% of the time to teach coding. Actually, most of
Yeah.
them teach other subjects and have had to fit things in. So we definitely have people you can contact and have a chat with about how that might look.
And you can leave your contact details here in this Padlet if you'd like, or any other thoughts. Yeah, and we can get back to you. But if you want an answer faster, probably emailing us is a much faster way. And so we've got 4 slides of computer science resources. The CS Hub is one I'm going to point out that one of our colleagues, Ashley Carroll, she actually created this with all of the different resources from the computer science cards with merge cubes, spheros, and Lego spikes, right,
Hmm.
AJ?
Yes,
And
or
there's different
essentials.
activities and lesson plans in there. So definitely check that out. Um, and then we have some elementary tools. All of these are clickable elementary resources as well over here, Sphero Indies, Bbots, um, and middle level resources, Scratch, Hour of Code, code.org that we just showed you. And then we have a bunch of PD offerings. So this is a Canva. It's got 6 pages of different things that we offer. So feel free to contact us at doe-ltt@maine.gov and see where we can help. And if you could fill this out, that would be amazing. We always love to know how we do, whether we're in person or doing just a simple recording and showing you, teaching you a few things and walking you through. So,
Yeah,
uh,
any feedback about how we can make it better would be great.
yeah, and how we can do better, of course. And then the moment you've been waiting for, the
Mhm.
contact hours. If you just, you've got a QR code here, or if you have the presentation open, you can click here for your certificate and just type in your name and for the contact hour. And there's our team. Feel free to contact us if you need anything else. And thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, hopefully you got something out of it, and hopefully you're able to take something from this and bring it directly to your classroom. That's kind of what we're hoping for. So,
Yep.
bye, everybody.
Bye.